repeat.
I think we're going to do great, friend. The place between life and death.
Hit the jets, we're dropping hot. Body shield here.
On the surface, Apex Legends is yet another entry in this hype train of Battle Royale games. It retains the core gameplay loop of titles such as PUBG and Fortnite. Airdrop somewhere onto a large map filled with a ton of other people, loot all the best gear you can find, killing enemy players and taking their loot. All until you either die with the rest or come out on top of the chaos.
You are the Apex champions.
You do all of this inside of a roaming circle that gets smaller as the match progresses, forcing everyone to get closer and closer to each other.
Lock and load, rinse, repeat.
For the most part, everyone aware of this relatively new genre of shooters is either into this concept, completely turned off by it, or just burnt out playing it. But Apex Legends does offer a few different things that may even hook people who have been more apprehensive to try out a Battle Royale game.
Optics here. Sniper.
I'll talk more about what these things are later in this unscored review, but in true past due review treatment, I'll be critiquing this game on a component by component basis, from modeling to lighting, audio, level design, and more, starting with animations.
Get out there and bamboozle.
Multiplayer games make it pretty hard to judge animation quality, due to the nature of syncing character animations within the game's netcode. But Respawn are pretty proficient at getting the timing on walk cycles and blending animations together fairly naturally, even through the worst of internet connections. That said, the third-person walk-run cycles and jumping animations are about what you would expect. I would even go so far as to say a few animations may even be reused from Titanfall's assets, particularly some jump animations. To be fair, however, I wouldn't want a lot of overly distracting animations from my enemies while I'm attempting to shoot at them. Emphasis on attempting. I still think it would be nice though if at least some of the characters' abilities and ultimates were better telegraphed. Thankfully, the first-person animations are all very well keyed and have just enough personality to make each weapon truly feel different in hand. From the stylized way you pick up certain weapons to the way tension is built with the pacing of the animations for reloading, the latter clearly having key poses held out just long enough to truly make your heart pump while you pray you reload in time. It's a nice small touch that may go unnoticed by a lot of people, but I love seeing care like this put into animations when it's appropriate, so thumbs up from me. The real fun the animation team had, though, was clearly coming up with the various execution animations that are all unique to each character. And they are just as fun to watch no matter what perspective you are seeing them from.
Nice. Champions out. Meat wagon's having one hell of a day.
Both the environmental and character modeling in Apex Legends shows off the creative side from the modeling teams and texture artists. The single large map of Kings Canyon is widely varied from area to area, from the dense forests of the swamps to the deserts of the airbase and the shacks of Skulltown. There's no shortage of variety in the level design that allows the modeling team to stretch their brains for a bit. And the textures for said buildings really show the team cared about trying to get as much personality out of these locations as possible. This care for varied personality also shines in the character models, of course, for the legends you'll be playing as. There definitely aren't many repeated body meshes here, and just looking at their designs, you get a good grip on what their personalities would be like, especially coupled with those idle animations. Some of the facial modeling topology, however, does seem a bit off, particularly on Wraith and Lifeline, but it could be more of a texture or bump map issue obfuscating itself. The real standout in the modeling department, however, are the weapons themselves. Each has a unique and distinctive design that once you get a few games under your belt, you'll be able to recognize them all easily. And the topology here clearly had a lot of thought put into it, as the meshes for the weapons are far from commonplace. There are a couple of exceptions with some bog standard AR designs, but aside from those, I've been pleasantly surprised with the creativity on place here. What makes those weapon and character models even more impressive, however, is how well they look even in the fairly standard lighting systems found within Apex Legends. While the volumetric lighting from the single-source global illumination looks great, especially for a multiplayer game, the shadows cast from it are a bit simple for a 2019 game in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I know in a world this large and heavily populated you need to cut costs somewhere. And while the lack of fill lights or reflected illumination is missed, the shadows that are cast do look pretty great, and are created from just about everything in the world, including the grass on the ground. As a huge fan of Titanfall, I expect the audio quality here to be just as superb. But I actually found a strangely mixed bag in terms of quality in the audio assets. The voice acting for all the characters are great, even if some of the lines are cringy as hell.
I'm ready today. I'm ready all month.
I also love the amount of effort that was clearly put into the ancillary sounds, the footsteps, the ship noises, and the unique sounds from legend abilities. But it's the weapon sounds that I had some mixed feelings with. I'd say about half the weapons have sound effects that are on the caliber I expect from a Respawn title, with ample kick and satisfying reload audio. But the rest can either be described as simply just fine or outright uninteresting. Thankfully though, it's easy to just use the weapons that sound and therefore feel the best to your own personal liking, and get lost in the real star of this game's audio department, the score. Just give them all the awards for best music. And for the love of God, let me buy this soundtrack, like tomorrow. If the modeling segment of this video was any indication, both the world layout and level design on display here is nothing to scoff at. A lot of people may complain about the repeat building and layouts for certain bunkers being reused a fair amount, but I honestly don't mind it. And the reason I don't mind it is the same reason I don't mind that same tactic being used in Skyrim, where the level assets and layouts were repeated in different dungeons to ensure a balanced and simple way to create levels quickly. Respawn has applied this tactic to the Battle Royale genre and the large open world map design that comes with it. Not only did they somehow manage to apply this method in a way that fits all the various areas of Kings Canyon, but Respawn knew exactly how to utilize this design tactic to create a ton of escape paths and choke points, all while maintaining a sensible amount of verticality in a way that makes the parkour and sliding mechanics work while both traveling and fighting.
Took out the whole squad. Got a squad mate's banner.
As I mentioned earlier, the core gameplay of Apex Legends should be familiar to most who play shooters and/or Battle Royale titles. And it's not a secret that Respawn are fantastic at developing and executing a far more than competent FPS game and all the mechanics that would entail. so I'm not going to address the excellent movement, shooting, or typical mechanics found in this genre, for it's the following creative additional features that really make Apex stand out as something worth one's time.
No substitute for real steel.
Those would be the focus on squad-based gameplay, a revolutionary ping system,
Body shield here.
and the addition of hero abilities.
Also right here.
The first unique deviation in this game comes in ensuring everyone is a part of a 3-person squad. Rather than a free-for-all live or die on your own mentality, Respawn not only forces every player to be in such a squad, but creates many reasons to work as a team as a result of their decision. Not only are you clearly prompted to help when a teammate is down, but if they are truly killed, you also have the ability to call them back into the match by bringing their banner to a respawn beacon. And while yes, the main reason to do so would be so your team is not outmatched by a squad of 3 when you get into fights, the other would be how having more teammates to ping things for you will make your team better at looting, as you can cover more area with more people alive.
Looking for gear. I'll relay what I find. Dibs. P2020 here.
This ping system is quite comprehensive to say the least. This allows and helps promote positive communication between teammates without ever needing to hop on voice chat. Since every action you do with this simple touch and go system is to provide info to your teammates, this system subconsciously makes you and your teammates have a better connection between everyone involved.
Thank you.
I'm honestly shocked no one has thought of creating a system that is as easy to use as pointing a box at ammo, which lets my teammates know where it is.
Body shield here. Level 2. I could use that.
And even if they don't know it, me pointing it out for them plants a positive memory in their head of me with how I help them get more of the ammo type they need.
Heavy ammo here.
It's no surprise other games have already decided to create and implement similar systems into their multiplayer titles, helping make competitive games just that much less toxic, most of the time. The last and certainly not least addition to the Battle Royale shooters is the addition of character-based skills in the legends you play as. Taking a cue from the more dramatic elements of Overwatch, each character has a distinctive personality, each fairly unique to gaming in fact in their own right. It's these characters and their personalities that people can connect and relate to. And much like Overwatch, this small hint at lore and personality is something you keep in the back of your mind as you play. My one criticism here is that there are only 3 things that mechanically differentiate these legends. That would be their passive, active, and ultimate abilities. While these abilities all do feel quite distinct and fill a completely different role, there's not a whole lot to make the character feel different while playing in the moment-to-moment gameplay. It makes me feel like just having one more unique ability or interaction per character would have made them stand out a bit more. As the game currently is, however, most people will probably feel different from me and enjoy what they have. And seeing as how the game is free, I probably should as well. Unfortunately, the old saying holds true. The most expensive things in life are free. And the free-to-play monetization on hold here is a foundation that will only become more apparently predatory with time. Not only does this game have loot boxes, they apparently don't have the best drop rates. On top of that, only certain skins can be bought outright, and only some can be crafted with the materials found only in said loot boxes. And every trick in the book that would get people who can get addicted to these things are present here, and they will get addicted to these things. It's a practice that I wish gaming would leave behind, but that cat is way out of the bag, past the neighbor's house, sailing across the sea, and has way more than 9 lives, even if we could catch it. At this point, the best we can say is that, hey, at least all the paid content is cosmetic and has no effect in-game.
Making contact with enemy. I killed the whole squad. Cool.
Despite my grave distaste for loot boxes and the amount of time it takes to unlock legends, I still highly recommend it to anyone who can play it. It's not going to win over everyone, but if you ever been a little curious about what battle royales are like, this is the perfect place to start. The game characters and ping system will do wonders for helping anyone willing to learn without making you feel useless, even if you're bad at video games like me. Apex Legends is a fresh new take on both battle royale and squad-based shooters in general, and I can't wait until I'm back in the hot zone. That's the one.
You are the Apex champions.